So Rick, 2 years ago,
Yeah.
2 years ago this Friday,
Yeah.
something happened to you.
Sure did.
Tell us about it.
Well, Kate, my wife, and I were driving into the driveway, and I got a headache. It was a pretty sharp headache. And so I went in. Now, our house has two parts. One is an apartment next to the garage, and I went in there because she was going to go take a shower. And when I got in there, my head was hurting even worse. So, as is my custom, when I'm really sick, I head to the bathroom. Fortunately, I took my phone. I don't know why, but I did. When I got in there, it was like being hit in the head with a 2x4. I mean, it brought me to my knees like never before. And I wasn't able to get my wife on the phone, but I got my daughter-in-law, and I asked her to call 911, which she did. I had had a severe stroke, and I went into a non-responsive coma for 33 days. I mean, that's the kind of coma where they're sticking pins in your nails, and you can't respond. So that's what happened.
You had some experiences during that coma, didn't you?
I did. What I remember, Jerry, is that I woke up. I mean, I don't know if it wasn't a wake up. I just became conscious that I was sitting on the ground. And it was like a gravel road, and I could feel the gravel. And I was sitting there in what you would describe as an Arab robe. And I realized that I was crying so hard I couldn't get my breath. I was so distraught. And all of a sudden, I realized there was this huge man. I'm not little, but I mean this huge man in an Arab robe, and he sat down beside me. Jerry, I know who that was, and you do too. And I never saw his face, but I understood him to say, "What's your problem? What's wrong?" And I said, "You see that walls, that city over there, the gates? I want to go in there, but they won't let me." And the next thing I knew, he was transporting us into the city. Now, how I did it, I don't know. I never could figure that out. I never heard anything. You know, this isn't one of those I hear bright lights and horns and angels' wings and so on. He saves that for the VIPs. This was a simple, the two of us. I never saw his face, but we went, somehow he transported us into the city. And he took us to a diner. Now I know that's funny. It was funny to me. And the way diners are put together, somebody brought a newspaper and coffee. I never saw him drink the coffee, but he read the newspaper. I thought that was hilarious. Why would God read a newspaper? I later had a nun tell me that he was trying to calm you down. You were hyperventilating and everything. You know, I was so crying so hard, I couldn't talk or anything. Well, it was just the two of us, and Jerry. As we sat there at the diner and he was reading the paper, I understood him to explain to me that we are made up of layers. And one of those layers is judgments. And those judgments start when you're born. The color of your eyes, are they right? Your height, your weight, your intellect, your athletic ability. It just keeps going. Well, suddenly I realized he had removed all that. It was all gone. All the judgments were gone. And it was just the two of us. I just felt so light, and I was in such love of him. I wanted to sit in his lap. But I understood him to say, don't worry, you're going back. And just like that, next thing I heard was my wife's voice and my son's voice, and I was back. And so that was that's about the first knowledge you can get.
Yeah.
And I don't tell lies. I don't like to fabricate things. And this is the best I can tell you is how it happened and the sequence in which it happened. And I came back, and the question became to me then, why am I back? What am I to do? Not why me. That's not the right question, because he chose me. So he must have a reason. He must have something for me to do. And I think what we're doing today is part of that. I do. He has put a number of people in my path since, and I've been able to tell my story, and it's helped, according to them, it's helped a number of people.
Yes. Rick, how would you describe your life before the stroke? What was life like for you?
Well, it was pretty much, I shouldn't say this. I was an academic.
Okay.
And life was pretty academic to me. It was all focused on the achievement, you know. I was trying to march through various positions. I was very controlling. I was the university contracts officer. I was the university health and safety. I mean, I had everything. And I wanted to control it all. I really did. I wanted to be in charge.
What was important to you then?
That's interesting. Well, it wasn't money. It was being able to be a part of something big, and being able to identify problems and solve them. I got a big kick out of identifying a problem no one else could identify, and then solving it. That was what really drove me.
So what's life like now since the stroke? How have you experienced the God of second chances through all of this?
Well, the biggest thing is he and I talk a lot. We talk all the time. You can say I pray. Sometimes I use the prayers from the church, but normally we just visit. We just talk. I check in to let him know what is of concern, what's coming down the road that, maybe a little bothersome. I've got a long way to recover. I can't walk, I'm having to relearn it. So he and I talk about that a lot, and we talk about people. What can I do to help? When someone is my therapist, physical therapist, and others put people in my path that need to, they have problems, or maybe they have strayed from the church or what, and they'll put people in front of me so I can tell them my story, and that's been very satisfying. But most different is I'm constantly asking God or Christ. I talk to Christ too, and I ask for strength and perseverance. I lean on him a lot. So sometimes, I guess you're not supposed to do this, but I do. I apologize for asking for so much. It's not. You have to understand what's really changed is I feel like he's my good friend and I can just talk to him. I don't think he cares what language you use. I don't think you have to use excerpts from the Bible. I don't think I just talk to him. And he seems to give me guidance. He gives me a lot of comfort.
What's important to you now?
People. I wish I could do more for people. That's all it's about. It's not about anything else. You gotta give up control. That was gunky. You don't do that. No, you rely on him, and he'll lead you, and he won't lead you astray. I think the thing that I like the most is he engages the Satan. He really does. He drives him away. Any bad thoughts, any attempt to give in, he drives us away. And so I think it's the frequency with which I talk to him and how much I rely on him that is totally different. Yeah.
So if you were to describe your view of God before the stroke,
Yeah.
compared to your view of God today,
Yeah.
how would you describe that?
Well, Jerry, before I would come and sit in the church, and as you know, I'd often say to you, why are you preaching just to me? Why did you write this? Or you were trying to get my attention. And the truth is, when I say I was an academic, I had a lot of friends that said, there is no God. And that when I would sit there in church, I would look at you and I'd debate, is there a God or not? That was what was always going on, was that debate. And since this incident, I don't debate that. I know there's a God, and I know that it's pretty simple. The relationship, he wants you to love him. He wants you to say, he gave you an invitation. He says, I'm here, and if you want to come here, I gave you a book, I really did. I gave you a book, and I gave you my son. And that's why I was baptized, is because he gave his son so that we could come up and be with him. And that's what I want to do. That's the difference. Before, I didn't think about it much, because I didn't know if there really was a God. You're a good preacher, but you couldn't convince me. He convinced me. He got my attention. And if this is the price that I have to pay for getting attention, I'm the better for it.